They called her Lyra.
She's been
no
drinking
last
antifreeze
name,
every single day
no
for 2 years.
registered home
How is
log.
she still alive?
Just Lyra,
That's exactly the question
blue-skinned
that's gonna
girl
save
with silver
humanity.
hair and green eyes who had wandered into Outpost Kael-9 on a freezing Tuesday morning, half-starved, with a cracked bottle of antifreeze tucked under her arm like it was a loaf of bread. Commander Darren Walsh had seen strange things in his 11 years on the frontier. Smugglers with 6 fingers. Traders who spoke in frequencies humans couldn't hear. Once, a man who claimed his blood ran cold as liquid nitrogen and proved it by cutting his own palm open on Darren's desk. But nothing had prepared him for Lyra. She walked in, sat down in the waiting bay, unscrewed the cap of that bottle, and took a long, slow sip. Nobody stopped her fast enough. By the time medic Sione Tala sprinted across the room, Lyra had already swallowed. Sione grabbed the bottle, read the label, industrial-grade ethylene glycol, antifreeze, toxic, and screamed for a med team. Lyra blinked. Her green eyes, large and luminous, moved to Sione with something that looked like confusion. "It is wrong," she asked in broken standard. "That will kill you," Sione said, hand shaking. Lyra tilted her head, pointed at the bottle.
"No.
"This is drink.
For me.
Every day." They ran every test they had.
Toxicology.
Blood panels. Neural scans. Organ mapping. 3 separate doctors reviewed the results. Then a 4th because no one believed the first 3. Lyra's body was processing ethylene glycol the way a human body processed water. Her liver contained an enzyme, completely unknown to human science, that broke down the compound into harmless cellular fuel. Her kidneys filtered the byproducts with mechanical efficiency. Her blood carried traces of glycol at all times, acting almost like antifreeze should act, keeping her internal fluids from crystallizing in extreme cold. She had been doing this for 2 years. Every single day. "Where did you come from?" Darren asked her, sitting across the medbay table. "My planet." She said it simply, like the answer was obvious.
"Far. Cold."
"Very cold." "What's it called?" She made a sound. Human vocal cords couldn't replicate it. She tried again, slower. "You say?"
"Vale."
"My people call it the long winter."
She stayed.
Not because they asked her to, they did ask desperately, but because she had nowhere else to go. Her ship had burned up in the atmosphere 3 months before she found Outpost Kael-9. She'd survived by hiking across 40 kilometers of frozen tundra, eating mineral compounds from the rock face, and drinking from industrial runoff pools. She was the last of her scouting team. Darren gave her a room. Sione gave her a proper medical file. The outpost's engineer, a gruff woman named Petra Munn, gave her a second bottle of antifreeze, the good kind, she said, and a thermos to carry it in. Lyra looked at the thermos for a long moment. Then she held it against her chest and said, quietly, "Thank you." That was the moment everyone stopped being afraid of her. 3 months passed. Lyra learned standard faster than anyone expected. She fixed 3 systems aboard the outpost that had been malfunctioning for years, not because anyone asked her to, but because she noticed they were broken. Her people, she explained, were engineers by nature. Every Valian child was taught to repair before they were taught to speak. She drank her antifreeze every morning at 0600, sitting in the mess hall, watching the ice plains through the wide viewport. Sione always joined her for coffee. Neither of them talked much. They didn't need to. But the war was coming closer. The Kreth, an expansionist force that had been pushing across the outer systems for a decade, had reached Sector 7. Outpost Kael-9 was in Sector 9. It was only a matter of time. Darren called a briefing. 32 personnel. Limited weapons. No evacuation ships until the next supply run in 6 weeks. The Kreth advance, according to last intel, was moving faster than projected. "We have maybe 4 weeks," Petra said, pulling up the tactical map. The room went quiet. Then Lyra spoke. "I have idea." The Kreth fleet ran on thermal engines. Every ship, every ground vehicle, every power cell in their arsenal used heat-based propulsion, a technology that was devastatingly effective in most environments. But it had one weakness that had never been properly exploited. Extreme cold caused the thermal regulators to crystallize. If the temperature dropped fast enough and low enough, an entire Kreth fleet could be immobilized in minutes. The problem was scale. You couldn't cool an entire battlefield. No human technology could do it fast enough. But Lyra's people had. On Vale, she said slowly, choosing each word, we fight a war. Long ago, enemy used fire weapons. We made the cold faster. We built a dispersal system. Spread compound across large area. Everything freezes. Fast. What compound? Darren asked. She held up her thermos. Silence. Ethylene glycol, Sione said, her voice barely above a whisper. Modified. Aerosolized. In large amount, Lyra said. It drops temperature. Very fast. Not poison to my people, but to thermal engines. She made a collapsing gesture with her fingers. Petra was already at her console. If we modified the outpost's atmospheric vents, used the external dispersal fans to spread a glycol mist across a 2-kilometer radius. The Kreth ships would freeze on approach, Darren finished. Yes, said Lyra. They had 19 days. Lyra worked without sleeping more than 3 hours a night. She guided Petra through the compound synthesis, a modified version of industrial glycol, adjusted to aerosolize at low pressure. She recalibrated the dispersal fans herself, working in temperatures that made the rest of the crew wear 3 layers. She barely noticed the cold. Sione stayed close, monitoring her vitals daily. You doing okay? She asked on day 14. Lyra looked up from a tangle of wiring. Her green eyes caught the fluorescent light. I am always okay, she said. Then softer. Here, I am more okay. The Kreth came on day 22. 47 ships. Ground units deployed 2 kilometers out. Thermal cannons charging. Darren gave the order. The fans activated. A pale mist rolled out across the ice plains, invisible at first, then catching the light like a low-hanging cloud. The temperature on the external sensors dropped 9 degrees in 40 seconds. 14 degrees in 90 seconds. The Kreth lead ships lost engine function at the 2-minute mark. By minute 4, the entire advance column was grounded. 47 ships, sitting motionless on the frozen plain, their crews alive but unable to move, unable to fire, unable to advance. Sector Command arrived 6 hours later. The Kreth surrendered at dawn. In the debrief, a general from Central Command asked who had designed the defense system. Darren pointed across the room. Lyra was sitting by the viewport, thermos in hand, watching the sunlight move across the ice. She turned when she felt eyes on her, looked at the general, looked at Darren. Her name is Lyra, Darren said. She's been here 4 months. She drinks antifreeze every day.
He paused.
And she just saved all of us. The general looked at Lyra for a long moment. Lyra took a slow sip from her thermos. I think, she said calmly, you should let more of my people come. Sometimes the thing that looks like a flaw is the only thing standing between you and extinction.